why is it that UAE remains this major player in Sudan and is funding the RSF? And you spoke a little bit about gold. And is that the interest? The interest is the mineral wealth?
It's one aspect of it. I think if you look at the narrative campaigns, and the UAE are doing a terrible job at the moment in terms of, and it's, you can't, I always say from a PR perspective, you can't polish a turd. If you're trying to kind of whitewash the RSF, it's impossible after the atrocities that were propagated. But one of the narratives that the UAE sort of influencers and bots are pushing at the moment is one where they're on the one hand they're saying they're fighting the SAF as a proxy of the Muslim Brotherhood. That's kind of this the go-to phrase that the UAE are using all the time. It's a little bit like the Israelis saying this guy's Hamas and this guy's Hamas. So what the Emiratis and their networks do is they say, this guy's Muslim Brotherhood, this guy, people who are not even Muslim. But the narrative in the UAE in Sudan now is that the SAF is a Muslim Brotherhood aligned entity. What is true though that there are some networks, Islamist networks from the Bashir time that are still within the SAF sort of sphere of influence, if you will, and they support them. But to say that Burhan is a Muslim brother or that the SAF is a Muslim Brotherhood entity is just factually false. But there is this narrative, this value-based element of saying we're here because we're fighting the Islamists. Right. So I think it's a pretext, but it's one that's still, considering how obsessed the UAE are with the Muslim Brotherhood, with this notion. It's paranoia that is no longer rationally explainable, and it has been let ad absurdum because it completely ridicules any sort of statement that the Emiratis make. It's still one aspect that we shouldn't completely disregard. But I would say the most important thing in Sudan for them is really is geostrategic, geopolitical, and geoeconomic in nature. So it's about Sudan being this sort of hub in a regional system, a strategic choke point to enter into the Horn of Africa. Number one, it has access to the Red Sea. The port of Sudan, Port Sudan is a very important port, and the Emiratis even have an MOU to build another port next to it. And so that was all part. That all came. All became a part of their policy in this interim period from after the revolution to between the revolution and when the SAF and the RSF consolidated. The Emiratis wanted access to these logistical corridors that link up Sudan with Libya. Again, we have to remember much of the Arab Spring for the Emiratis and their counter-revolution starts in Libya. And Libya is the first sort of bridgehead that they build to get access into Africa. And so that corridor is important. It leads directly into Sudan. Sudan connects it to Chad, again, where the Emiratis have quite a lot of interest, but it also links into sub-Saharan Africa, into Uganda. Again, Emiratis have a lot of interest. It links into Ethiopia, where again, the Emiratis have a lot of interest and have been supplying the Abiy government. And it is another stepping stone from Somalia as well, where there could be a logistical network between Somalia and Sudan. Then there are, oil is very important. The Chinese have a major pipeline that goes from the south of Sudan all the way to the Red Sea coast. And much of the Darfur area in oil wealth is controlled by the Chinese. So the Emiratis want to be this larger than life sort of gatekeeper, if you will. People I've realized that you need to speak to the Emirates, even if you absolutely disagree fundamentally with what they're doing in Darfur, because they're indispensable now. They've made themselves indispensable in this very strategically critical area of the world.